Heartwarming encounter. Billionaire discovers his long-lost nanny after following a girl's inspiring story. Ethan, a self-made billionaire, stood at the glittering gala, surrounded by a blur of evening dresses and sharp suits. The clinking of champagne glasses rang like a distant melody, but the music of his life felt out of tune. He had everything: money, success, power, but something was empty. The moment he slipped into that world of affluence, he had left behind the warmth of family and community in the rearview mirror. But then she spoke. Mia, a 10-year-old girl with bright eyes and an infectious smile, took the stage. With a crooked microphone in hand, she shared her story: the struggles of her single mother, the hardships of their neighborhood, the resilience that pushed them forward even when despair seemed waiting at the door. Each word was a thread weaving a tapestry of family and hope, striking Ethan like a bolt of lightning. As he listened, tears prickled at the corners of his eyes, sending waves of nostalgia crashing over him. He remembered Rosa, his beloved nanny, whose love was a safe harbor in his childhood. Where had she gone? Did she, too, feel the weight of neglect he bore? In this moment, as Mia concluded with a nervous smile, Ethan felt a spark ignite within him. He had spent so long chasing profit margins and stock prices that he had forgotten the essence of community: grit, sacrifice, and love. Determined, he decided right then and there to track down Rosa. Perhaps she could remind him of those values he so desperately needed. He set out on his quest, delving into the heart of the city he had once thought he owned. The neighborhoods transformed. Gleaming skyscrapers gave way to worn-down buildings, where families tightly clustered yet radiated warmth. He soon learned that not everyone welcomed a billionaire with open arms. Skepticism shadowed him like a dark cloud. Mutterings followed him down the streets, tainted by resentment of his wealth. One particularly poignant encounter rattled him to his core. A father, weary and desperate, confronted him, his son by his side. "You think your money helps? It doesn't change the fact that my boy has to walk through broken glass to get to a failing school." The father's anger cut deeper than any business deal. For the first time, Ethan felt raw and exposed. The realization crashed over him like bitter cold water. His privilege had placed a wall between him and the realities others faced, a barrier he could no longer ignore. Then, a twist of fate revealed a heartbreaking truth about Rosa. He discovered that she had been forced to leave her position due to a series of devastating events that left her life in shambles. The ache in his chest intensified, mingling with guilt and sorrow. How could he have been so blind? Her sacrifice resonated, awakening feelings he thought were long buried. Ethan found himself at a crossroads, the path ahead set against the backdrop of his privilege and the stories he had heard. With each step, he grappled with the enormity of forgiveness, not just toward Rosa, but also toward himself. The question loomed: could he bridge the divide between the American dream and the harsh reality of his city? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With fresh hope and a resolve to find Rosa, Ethan stepped into the unknown, determined to redefine himself and his relationship with those around him. His heart raced with a mix of dread and optimism. Could this search bring him the redemption he desperately wanted? The path ahead shimmered with uncertainty, each moment a flickering opinion on what family really meant, and the journey had only just begun. Ethan wandered through the city streets, each step heavier than the last. The familiar rhythm of the bustling metropolis felt strange now, a cacophony drowning out his thoughts. He passed shops with worn signs, children playing in cracked asphalt, laughter mingling with the sirens in the distance. Moments of joy captured between the shadows of hardship. He paused at a small park where children raced on rusty swings, delight dancing in their eyes. His heart clenched. That same joy he once had, the kind Rosa had nurtured in him, felt like a distant memory. He wondered if he'd find her in a place like this. There was a warmth in these neighborhoods, a community spirit he had forgotten. A few blocks down, a faint old-fashioned neighborhood diner caught his eye. It looked tired, like it had seen better days, but there was life inside. The scent of fresh pancakes wafted through the door. For a moment, Ethan considered stepping in. Maybe a chat with the locals would yield more information about Rosa. It was worth a shot. He opened the door and the small bell jangled above him, a warm welcome amidst the clatter of dishes. The diner was cozy, filled with the sound of laughter and clinking forks. People were gathered at tables, sharing stories, some even looking his way with cautious curiosity. "Sit anywhere you like," a waitress called out, cheerful despite the late hour. "Just don't mind the regulars, they'll talk your ears off." Ethan slid into a booth in the back, his mind racing. As he perused the menu, a voice interrupted his thoughts. "I'll give you the special." An elderly man approached, his shirt wrinkled and cap pulled low over his forehead. "You look like you could use it." Ethan chuckled lightly, surprised by the man's kindness. "Thanks, I appreciate it." As the man walked away, Ethan caught snippets of conversations from the surrounding tables, small pieces of life that resonated deep within him. A mother lamenting her son's struggles at school, another discussing the rising rent. It was all so familiar yet achingly foreign. "Here you go," the waitress placed a steaming plate before him. It was simple, a stack of pancakes smothered in syrup, with a side of crispy bacon. Yet, it was the warmth of the gesture that touched him. Ethan took a bite, the flavors bursting like memories of simpler times. He felt the emotional chasm within him slowly begin to close as he reflected on what he had taken for granted. This food was not just nourishment. It was a reminder of the warmth of family and care. After finishing his meal, Ethan approached the counter to pay. "Excuse me," he said, gathering his courage. "I'm looking for someone." "Rosa, my former nanny. Do you know a woman by that name?" The room fell silent. The waitress paused, her hands frozen mid-motion. The elderly man returned, purpose flickering in his eyes. "Rosa? Sure, I know her. She used to work around here but left a while back." His heart beat wildly. "Do you know where she is now?" The old man squinted, searching Ethan's face for something. "She fell on hard times. Lives a few blocks away, in a small apartment above a laundromat." Ethan's heart soared. "Can you tell me how to get there?" The man nodded, scribbling down directions on a napkin. As Ethan walked out, the words seemed to dance in front of him. The path was paved, and hope surged through him. He stepped back into the bustling streets, navigating the familiar but new landscape of hope and purpose. With every stride, love and regret intermixed, leading him closer to the past he yearned to rekindle. And just as he reached the corner turning into the next street, a memory flickered in his mind, a whisper of laughter, of sunshine streaming through a window where Rosa's spirit had once warmed his childhood home. Would he be ready for the truth waiting behind that door? Would he have the courage to face not only Rosa but the echoes of his own choices? With a quickening pace, he rounded the corner, heart racing as the door loomed ahead. Ethan stood in front of the door, each breath pulling him closer to either joy or heartbreak. The worn wood, peeling paint, and flickering light overhead felt like a portal to a past he had all but buried. He raised a hand, hesitating for just a moment. What if she didn't remember him? What if time had changed her beyond recognition? He brushed his palm across the surface of the door and pushed it open. The creak echoed like a whisper of old memories. Inside was dimly lit but felt instantly familiar, filled with small, eclectic decorations that seemed to tell stories of their own. A faded tapestry hung on the wall, a collection of children's art adorned the fridge, and the air smelled faintly of cinnamon and something floral. His eyes locked onto a figure, hunched over a small table in the corner. Her hair was silver now, thin and soft, pale against the dark fabric of her worn sweater. The familiar shape of her silhouette sent a wave of nostalgia crashing against him. It was Rosa, no doubt about it. Rosa, he breathed. The name a prayer escaped from his lips. She turned her head sharply. Her eyes, bright but clouded by time, widened in recognition. Ethan? Her voice was trembling, disbelief mingling with hope. He stepped closer, marveling at how she hadn't changed in spirit, even if age had marked her face. It's me, it's really me. He watched her rise slowly, her frail body wavering slightly. It felt like years were collapsing within seconds, the weight of time heavy yet soft. Oh, Ethan! She rushed toward him, arms open wide. The embrace was fierce, warm, and full of everything they had missed. Tears stung his eyes as he wrapped her in a hug, feeling the fragile bones that once danced through his memories. "Where have you been?" he asked, pulling back to look at her face. Pain flashed through him at the sight of her worn features, signs of hardship etched into her skin. "I moved here a couple of years back," she explained, her voice cracking. "I thought about you all the time, but life became hard. I kept searching for you," he admitted, feeling a mix of guilt and longing. "I wanted to thank you. You meant so much to me." Rosa chuckled softly, the sound a melody woven with the past. "Thank me? You were the joy of my life, my dear Ethan. I did my best for you." He felt the knot in his chest loosen a bit. "You did more than just your best. You saved me." As they spoke, a warmth filled the room, a healing space bridging two lives that had unfolded separately but were now finally converging. Yet, the shadows lingered in her eyes, a hint of fear hidden behind the joy. "But Ethan, you need to know," she began, her voice low and serious. "Things were harder than you might think. I didn't just leave, I lost so much. There is something you should understand before we go forward." His heart sank. "What do you mean?" She looked away, her hands trembling slightly. "There are truths that may break your heart, truths about our past that could change everything." Ethan's mind raced, the warmth from moments ago dissipating in a swirl of dread. A part of him wanted to hear, but another part yearned to hold onto the joy that meeting her had brought back. "Rosa, please, just tell me." As she opened her mouth to speak, the weight of unvoiced words hung heavily between them, the air thick with unspoken fears and unfulfilled hopes. What could this truth be? Would it shatter the fragile happiness they just started to rebuild? Each second stretched on with uncertainty, and for a moment, all he could hear was the rhythmic pulse of his own heart, urging him to brace for whatever was coming next. Ethan felt his heart pick up speed, thumping louder as he leaned in closer, hungry for answers. "Rosa, I need to know," he urged, his voice barely above a whisper. The room seemed to shrink around them, the air thick with emotions bottled up for too long. Rosa took a deep breath, her frail frame trembling slightly, like a leaf caught in a gentle breeze. "I thought I could protect you from the truth, protect both of us." Her gaze darted to the window, as if searching for an escape from the weight of her confession. "But keeping it inside has hurt us more than anything else." Ethan swallowed, a lump forming in his throat. He squeezed her hands, their warmth grounding him in the moment. "Whatever it is, I can handle it. I'm not that boy from before. I'm ready to hear you." She finally met his gaze, and he saw the shimmering trace of tears in her eyes. "The night I left, I didn't just walk away. I was forced to make a choice, and I lost everything." Her voice faltered, filled with regret. "You were taken away from me, Ethan. I couldn't protect you like I promised." The words pierced through him. The memories of that dark, uncertain time swirled in his mind. "What do you mean? I thought you left by choice. I thought you didn't want me anymore." A choked sob escaped her lips. "You were never an option for me, Ethan. They came for you. I tried to fight them, but I was powerless." Her voice cracked under the weight of the truth. "I would have done anything to keep you safe, but they wouldn't allow it." His pulse quickened with confusion and rage. "Who came for me? Rosa? Who did this?" She hesitated, her lips trembling as if the truth were a fragile bird she was afraid to let fly. "You were part of something bigger, a world hidden from view. They made sure I never saw you again." Silence descended, thick and suffocating. Each heartbeat echoed ominously in his ears. "Was it because of my family?" She nodded slowly, tears spilling over as she wiped them with the back of her hand. "I can't speak their names, Ethan. It's too dangerous. But they were powerful, and they did everything to keep us apart." You grew up thinking I abandoned you. He shook his head, anger boiling alongside an influx of sorrow. I felt abandoned. I thought you didn't want me. All those years, I believed that I wanted you to have a normal life. I couldn't drag you into my chaos. She whispered, the pain evident in her voice. His emotions crashed over him like waves, a storm of betrayal and love. The man he was, and the boy he had been, were both lost in this revelation. But Rosa, I wanted you with me. I needed you to be there even then. Her eyes widened, filled with a mix of sadness and understanding. And I needed to be there for you. But life, it had its own twisted plans. He stepped back, his heart racing. The multitude of emotions left him dizzy. What now? What do we do from here? Rosa searched his eyes, her own filled with vulnerability. We need to face those shadows together. They may still be watching. Ethan felt a chill running down his spine. The world he thought he understood had shifted, and now a menacing truth had seeped in. Together he murmured, the unfamiliar weight of uncertainty settling over him. What lay ahead? Would they truly be able to confront this hidden darkness? Or would it consume them both? As Rosa reached for him again, the flickering light above dimmed, amplifying the shadows gathering around. What other secrets lingered in the corners of their past? The answers that might follow could change everything for better or for worse. Ethan felt a shiver race down his spine, the weight of Rosa's words hanging heavy in the air. They may still be watching. Those words echoed in his mind, filling him with a mix of fear and determination. What do we need to do? He asked, his voice steady despite the storm churning inside him. Rosa looked out the window again, the fading light of dusk painting the room in shadows. We must find the answers, Ethan. It's the only way we can reclaim our lives. We have to discover who they are and what they want from us. She withdrew her hands, leaving a cold emptiness where warmth had been. He felt strangely lost without her touch. But how? I don't even know where to start. We start here. Rosa turned back, her face firm with resolve. We'll dig into what happened that night. I kept secrets to protect you, but those same secrets may lead us to the truth. Ethan swallowed hard, a flicker of hope igniting within him. So we're going to investigate together then? Together, she confirmed, a small, brave smile breaking through her tears. Their pact hung in the air, fragile yet unyielding. They both knew the journey ahead might tear them apart again, but the thought of remaining in darkness felt worse. He glanced around the room. It felt transformed despite its same surroundings. The shadows were less daunting now, as if they were merely echoes of what used to bind them. Let us get started, he said, his determination solid. Rosa pulled out a notebook from the drawer of a nearby desk. The pages were filled with jagged notes, a timeline of events that seemed to stretch back into a labyrinth of terror. I've been keeping track. The whispers were there, Ethan. I knew something strange was going on. Ethan leaned over the table, studying the scrawled notes, trying to wrap his mind around it all. Names, dates, places. It was surreal seeing it laid out before him. Who is this? He pointed with a trembling finger to a name scribbled maniacally in the corner. That's the name of a man I knew in my past, Rosa said softly. He had ties to the underground, a criminal element. I hope he is not involved, but I can't shake the feeling that we need to talk to him. Ethan felt his stomach drop. Talk to a criminal? Is that safe? The truth is hardly ever safe, Rosa replied. But we've come this far. We can't stop now. Nodding, Ethan steeled himself. He had faced every fear in his life, but this felt different. This was personal. Let us go, he said, taking a deep breath. As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, the world around them felt charged with suspense. The streetlights flickered overhead, casting long, shifting shadows. With each step, Ethan could almost hear the whispers of the past, beckoning him forward. Do you really think he will have answers for us? He asked, unsure of what to expect. Rosa took a deep breath, her expression unreadable. I hope so, but if not, we have to be prepared for anything. Disquiet gnawed at him as they approached the unfamiliar part of town. Streets twisted and turned, each corner threatening to lead them further into the unknown. What if they stirred the shadows instead of dispersing them? Suddenly, a sharp noise sliced through the tension. A crash echoed from a nearby alley, followed by muffled voices raised in anger. His stomach knotted tight. What was that? He whispered, his heart racing. Rosa tugged him closer. Stay low. We should check it out. He could feel adrenaline flooding his veins as they crept toward the alley, uncertainty swirling within him. What awaited them? Could they truly confront the past without losing themselves again? He knew this moment could change everything. Ahead, the commotion grew louder, voices blending into chaos. What if it's them? He murmured, his pulse quickening in time with his thoughts. We won't know until we take a look, she replied, gaze fixed on the dark shadows that danced behind the pile of trash and debris. With a final glance at Rosa, Ethan took a deep breath and stepped forward. The shadows whispered of danger and possibility. Would he find answers or face more questions? Lingering in the darkness? The answer awaited on the cusp of what lay ahead. As they edged closer to the alley, Rosa kept a tight grip on Ethan's arm. The low growls of anger mixed with the rattling of bottles painted a sinister picture in Ethan's mind. Each beat of his heart thudded in rhythm with his racing thoughts. What if they stumbled upon something they weren't prepared for? Maybe we should turn back, he whispered, suddenly questioning his earlier boldness. The thrill of the unknown felt more like dread now. No. Rosa's voice was firm, filled with a strength that made his resolve waver. We have to know what's happening. It's too important to walk away. With renewed determination, Ethan steadied himself. He nodded, and together they peeked around the corner. A group of men loomed in the shadows, their faces obscured but their intent radiating hostility. One man, tall and broad-shouldered, faced another, his voice a roaring whisper of threats. I told you to stay out of my territory. The man growled, aggression seeping through every word. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Ethan's eyes widened as he recognized the name tucked away in the back of his mind, the name Rosa had scribbled on the notebook page. Could this be the man they were seeking, or was he too far gone into the depths of something darker? Rosa's grip tightened again, and Ethan felt a surge of protective instinct wash over him. We need to go, he urged. This is too dangerous. No, she said firmly, her eyes narrowing. We can't. Before she could finish, the situation escalated. A loud crash resonated through the air as someone knocked over a trash bin. The fight erupted, fists and shouts erupting into a cacophony of chaos. Ethan's heart raced, fear jolting through him as he instinctively pulled Rosa back. Run, he shouted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. They dashed away from the alley, blending into the shadows of the streets. Breathless, they stumbled into a narrow side street, hidden from view. They leaned against the cool brick wall, their hearts pounding in unison. What do we do now? Ethan gasped, trying to catch his breath. Rosa's face was pale, but her eyes sparkled with something unfamiliar, a mix of fear and exhilaration. We can't turn back, Ethan. We have to confront him. He's our only lead. Are you insane? He replied, disbelief flooding his voice. What if he is dangerous or worse? Or what if he has answers? She looked at him, her gaze piercing. If we keep running scared, we'll never know. This darkness won't just go away. He wanted to argue, to protest her logic, but fear of the unknown battled against the certainty of what they faced. Deep down, he knew she was right. They had to confront the shadows instead of letting them loom above them. Okay, he said slowly, only half convinced. But we do this my way. We find out who he is first. I don't want to walk into this blind. Rosa nodded, a fierce look of resolve replacing the earlier panic on her face. Okay, let us do some research. There's got to be information on him. He might have a weakness we can exploit. The streets around them buzzed with the lingering energy of their earlier confrontation, and every creak and murmur sent electricity skittering across Ethan's skin. He glanced around, the weight of his surroundings heavy. What if those men follow us? He whispered. Then we'll be ready. Rosa whispered back, the fire of determination once again igniting in her eyes. They glanced back towards the alley, knowing that what awaited them next could spiral deep into realms they never wished to explore. The trail of truth was now set before them, but did either of them have the strength to walk it? With a final glance down the street, Ethan felt a tremor of courage flooding him. They were stepping into the unknown, and every instinct screamed to turn back. But there was a drive between them, a shared purpose that settled within his chest. Together, they clutched their resolve. What truths would they uncover in the pursuits that lay ahead? Would they stand against the torrential shadows, or would they be swallowed by them? The night stretched before them, full of uncertainty. But one thing was clear. They were not alone as long as they had each other. And with that thought, a question lingered in the air: what had they truly awakened? Ethan and Rosa moved quickly, the shadows swallowing their hurried steps as they wove through the maze of quiet streets. The air buzzed with a mix of adrenaline and anxiety, and as they turned another corner, the sound of their footfalls seemed deafening in the stillness. Ethan pulled out his phone, the screen lighting up his anxious expression. Let us look him up if he really is the man from the alley. There's got to be some info online. He felt a rush of hope as he scrolled through the search results. The name was heavy with danger, tied to rumors of illicit dealings and violent confrontations. Rosa stood close, her breath quickening as she read over his shoulder. This can't be him. Can't be. Yet the weight of disbelief was countered by the threads of fear weaving through her gut. She needed answers, but she also needed to protect what little safety they had. There's a news article. Ethan's voice trailed off as he read, his brow furrowing. He was involved in a bar fight last year, just like the one back in the alley. They exchanged glances, and the tension crackled like static electricity. What if we set up a meeting? Rosa suggested, a new determination in her eyes. If he is the guy we need, we can't just sit here waiting for him to come find us. Ethan's heart sank at the thought. You mean walk straight into the lioness den? If it means getting the information we need, yes. The fire in Rosa's gaze was unwavering. We can't wait for everything to align perfectly. That's not how this works. But doubt crept in, twisting in Ethan's mind. For all her courage, this was dangerous ground. And what if he doesn't play nice? What if he turns that aggression on us? Rosa placed a hand on his arm, grounding him. That's a risk we have to take. We need to believe that there's a light somewhere in this darkness. Whatever we're facing, we can handle it together. Ethan took a deep breath, letting her words settle. Something in her conviction sparked a flame within him. The fear began to mingle with resolve, morphing from a weight he carried into a challenge he was willing to meet. Okay, he finally said, voice steadier. But we have to be smart about it. We find a public place, a coffee shop, maybe. Somewhere he's less likely to erupt. A smile broke across Rosa's face, the tension easing slightly. Exactly. And we keep our defenses up. They huddled over his phone once more, scanning through potential locations while sharing bits of their findings. A small cafe on the edge of town seemed suitable enough, a buzz of normality in an otherwise chaotic world. As they made their plan, they heard footsteps behind them. The sound filled the space like a warning bell. Ethan's heart dropped as he turned slightly, his body instinctively tensing. Rosa followed his lead, urgency tightening the air around them. Hey, let us go. He nodded towards the cafe, taking a step back in the opposite direction. They quickened their pace, their minds racing with the possibilities and the lurking mistakes they might face. Do you think they're following us? She whispered, a hint of fear returning to her voice. Maybe. We need to shake off anyone who might be on our tail. Ethan replied, scanning the street as they ducked into a sideway shop. They held their breath as a group of men passed, their laughter sharp and menacing. Once they felt certain they were in the clear, they moved. Outside the cafe, the scent of roasted coffee beans wafted through the air, a strange contrast to the conflict swirling in their minds. Here goes nothing, Ethan said, a flicker of determination returning. They walked inside, pretending to be just another pair of friends sharing a moment over steaming cups. The once ominous feeling shifted to something more hopeful. But deep down, the tension remained. Would this man offer them a way to uncover the truths they desperately sought? Or would he push them deeper into a darkness they couldn't escape from? As they settled in their seats, the door chimed, and in walked a figure that could change everything. Is that him? Rosa's words hung heavy between them. Ethan's heart raced as he scanned the crowded cafe. The door had barely swung shut when his eyes fell on the man approaching their table tall, with an air of confidence that sent a chill down his spine. A salt and pepper beard framed a strong jaw, and his sharp eyes seemed to assess the room with a predatory focus. "Yeah," he said, barely above a whisper, his throat suddenly dry. "That's him." Rosa's hand found Ethan's, a lifeline anchoring him amid the swirl of uncertainty. "We need to stay calm," she whispered, though her grip was tight. He could feel the tremor in her fingers, matching the anxiety in his own heart. The man ambled toward them, an unnerving smile on his face as he spotted them. Ethan couldn't tell if it was welcoming or sinister. "Ethan and Rosa, right?" His voice was smooth, and the way he pronounced their names felt like honey dripping from a spoon. "Yeah," Ethan replied cautiously, his eyes darting around the cafe, scanning for exit routes they might need. "Let us sit," the man said, sliding into the booth across from them. The confidence in his demeanor made Ethan's skin prickle. This was their only shot, and every instinct was telling him to be careful. "What do you want?" Rosa asked, her defiance shining through despite the fear bouncing around in her stomach. The man leaned back, surveying them as if appraising cattle. "I hear you're looking for some answers," he said, his words measured and deliberate. "I might have what you need, but first you need to understand the risks involved." Ethan exchanged a worried glance with Rosa, their silent conversation filled with questions. Did they really want to step further into this murky water? What kind of risks? Rosa challenged, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. The man chuckled lightly, but it didn't reach his eyes. "The world I operate in is dangerous. You can never be too careful. But what you're searching for, it won't come cheap. Trust is scarce, especially in my business." "What do you mean?" Ethan cut in, his heart thumping against his ribs. "What would it cost us? Information has a price. Sometimes that's cash. Other times it's favors." He paused, letting his words sink in. "What are you willing to do for this information? Are you prepared to face what you might uncover?" The tension ratcheted up a notch. Ethan's stomach twisted. He glanced at Rosa, whose wide eyes reflected the chaos they were wading into. She was clearly caught between fear and determination. "How do we know you're not playing us?" Rosa pressed, leaning forward. "You could have your own agenda." The man smiled, but something dangerous lurked behind it. The ever-present suspicion of strangers. "It's wise but pointless here. You want answers and I can provide them. But know this. Once you step down this path, there's no turning back." Ethan's skin prickled at the weight of those words. The stakes felt impossibly high. He could feel the crunch of the moment pressing down, threatening to break them. Rosa's voice was firm, cutting through the tension. "We're not afraid of the truth, but we need to know what we're dealing with first. What's the real story here?" The man leaned closer, his voice dropping as if they were sharing a thrilling secret. "Sometimes the truth is far more dangerous than the lies you cling to. Are you ready to hear it?" The cafe buzzed around them, the murmurs of conversations and clinking of cups fading into the background. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. They were standing at a crossroads, and the choice before them was monumental. Would they step into the unknown, risking everything for the answers they sought? As he glanced at Rosa, he saw determination mixed with fear, and he knew there was no backing down now. But was the truth worth the price they might have to pay? Before he could respond, just outside the cafe, he caught a glimpse of men moving toward the entrance. The same ones from earlier, laughter echoing dangerously close. Ethan's heart dropped into his stomach. "We've got company," he muttered, panic tinging his voice. Rosa's eyes widened, and in that moment they understood. Their meeting was no longer just about answers. It became a question of survival. What would they do now? They had a choice to make in a world spinning out of control. Would they unveil the shadows lurking behind the truth? Or would they flee from the danger edging ever closer? Ethan's mind raced as he scanned the entrance, desperate for a way out. The men he'd seen before were moving with purpose, and fear churned in his gut. What do we do? He whispered frantically to Rosa, his gaze flicking back to the man in front of them, who appeared unfazed by the impending danger. The man smiled, as if this was exactly the kind of chaos he thrived in. Just stay calm, he said, his casual demeanor unsettling. You asked about the truth. Well, this is part of it. You'll see the world for what it truly is if you stick with me. Ethan caught Rosa's eye, her expression a mix of worry and fierce resolve. We can't stay here, she mouthed, then shifted her focus back to their unsettling companion. Tell us what we need to know. Now, the man's smile faded slightly. It's not that simple. You want answers? You have to earn them. And that could mean confronting shadows you're not ready to face. He gestured toward the door with a subtle confidence. Besides, your friends are nearly here. You don't want to be around for this meet and greet. Ethan swallowed hard. He and Rosa had faced pressures before, but nothing like this. They could feel the weight of the moment, each second stretching until it felt like a lifetime. What do you want from us? Ethan demanded, the tremor in his voice betraying his fear. Show me you're willing to act. A simple task, really. Retrieve something for me. I'll give you what you seek in return, the information you need. He leaned in, his tone low and conspiratorial. You'll discover what's really at stake. Rosa's grip tightened around Ethan's hand. What kind of task? The good kind. Just a small delivery. There's a package that needs to be picked up tonight. Meet me at the old mill by the river. Do that and I'll ensure you get what you came for. The man straightened as if he'd just handed them a gift instead of a challenge. Ethan's heart jolted. Was it worth it? The thought of venturing into the unknown, risking everything for information that could unravel their lives? But with the men closing in, they were running out of options. We're not taking orders, Ethan shot back, but he could feel the heat rising in his chest. Rosa's voice was steady, surprising him with its resolve. We'll consider it, but you'll need to give us more than that. What's in the package? The man's expression darkened ever so slightly. That's not for you to know yet. But trust me, it's worth the risk. Your time is running out. Choose wisely. They shared a glance, the gravity of their situation hitting hard. Did they really want to step into this tangled web? As the sound of raucous laughter and boisterous voices emanated from the doorway, Ethan made a split-second decision. Okay, we'll do it. But you need to promise us safety in return. The man regarded them closely, his eyes narrowing. Very well. But remember, once you start down this road, there's no turning back. Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with dread. They were sinking deeper into a world rife with shadows. He couldn't shake the feeling they were playing with fire. But what choice did they have now? As they stood up from the booth, ready to make their move, the door swung open, and the men who'd been following them strode in, their faces alight with mischief. Ethan and Rosa's hearts dropped at the sight. Back away from the table, one of the men barked, eyes scanning for trouble. You two are in the wrong place. Ethan's pulse quickened. They were out of time. Let us go, he shouted to Rosa, grabbing her hand as they rushed towards the back exit. Would they escape before they were swept into the chaos? Or would they be caught in the crossfire that was beginning to ignite around them? The uncertainty loomed large, and as they pushed through the crowd, the heart of the storm was just beginning to unfold. As Ethan and Rosa burst through the cafe's back door, a rush of cold air greeted them, filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and danger trailing behind. They sprinted into the alley, the dim light flickering against the brick walls, casting moving shadows that danced in terror. Adrenaline fueled their legs as they dashed, weaving through the alley's maze like a bolt of lightning. Where to? Rosa panted, her breathing heavy as she glanced over her shoulder, nervous energy electrifying the air between them. Ethan's mind raced. Just keep moving. We need to find a way to outsmart them. He was desperate to reach that old mill, the thought of the package haunting him like a ghost. It could be their only shot at unraveling the tangled web that ensnared their lives. They turned down another side street, the fading echoes of laughter morphing into frustrated shouts behind them. With every heartbeat, the fear intensified, the reality of just how close danger was sinking in. We can't keep running forever. We have to think, Rosa urged, determination simmering in her voice. Ethan skidded to a halt, catching his breath. We need to change tactics. If we're going to confront this head-on, we can't let them catch us. We must get to that mill first, find out what this package is and why it's so important. Rosa nodded, eyes flickering with understanding. Then we better not waste time. Let us go. They sped off again, urgency pressing against them like the weight of the world. Soon they arrived at the edge of the river, lined with rusted metal and memories of abandoned dreams. The old mill loomed ahead, a relic shrouded in mystery and shadows. It felt oddly poetic, a place of noise, now silent, holding secrets just like the two of them. Are you ready for this? Ethan asked, his voice low but steady. He sensed a wave of vulnerability between them, both realizing they were teetering on the brink of something monumental. With you by my side? Always, Rosa replied, squeezing his hand for reassurance. As they approached the entrance, hesitation crept in. The door creaked ominously as they pushed it open, revealing a dark interior. Dust motes floated in the thin beams of moonlight, and the air held the whispers of the past. Each step echoed with uncertainty, and Ethan could feel the tension thickening in the air. Suddenly, he stopped, his heart racing as he noticed a small package resting on an old table in the center of the room, a stark contrast against the aged wood and dilapidated surroundings. It looked unremarkable, yet its presence felt like a ticking clock, every moment sensing a shift in the atmosphere. That is it, Rosa breathed, her hand shaking slightly as she pointed. Let us grab it and get out, Ethan urged, moving closer. But suddenly, a voice broke through the haze of anticipation. Well, what do we have here? The man from the cafe stepped into the light, flanked by a couple of rough-looking associates. Ethan and Rosa froze, their resolve warring with fear. You shouldn't have come here, he said, his voice dripping with delight. What's in that package? Ethan demanded, mustering every ounce of courage. The man's smirk widened, eyes twinkling with dark amusement. You'll find out soon enough, assuming you play your part. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, the challenge evident in his stance. Rosa clenched her jaw. We're not pawns in your game. We want the truth. The man's expression darkened. And that's where you're wrong. The truth is buried deep, and it won't come without a cost. Fear washed over Ethan, clenching his stomach into knots. He searched his mind for a way to untangle their lives from this situation. We're done running. We're here to take control back, he insisted, gazing directly into the man's eyes with newfound determination. Control? You're mistaken if you think you have any. The man's gaze sharpened. But I'll give you a choice. Leave now or take the package and face the fallout. Rosa's grip tightened on Ethan's hand, both of them knowing this was a defining moment. The air thickened, holding on to the intensity fraying between them. The model of their lives came at a cost, but what lay beyond was even more daunting. Together, Ethan whispered, the weight of the moment pressing on them both. No more running. We take the package. The man chuckled darkly. Then prepare yourselves for the darkness ahead. With trembling hands, Rosa stepped forward, reaching for the package. The moment her fingers brushed against it, a violent wave of energy pulsed through the room, a feeling of inevitability coursing through the air. You know what you're doing? The man hissed, baring his teeth in a wretched grin. We do, Ethan replied, a fire igniting in his heart. As Rosa pulled the package closer, doors of the past swung wide open. They grasped the flickering wind of hope and fear, plunging headfirst into whatever awaited them beyond the threshold. Tomorrow's storm would come, but tonight, they would steer their course toward the truth they had long sought after. They stood together, hearts racing, as the world pivoted beneath them. Whatever awaited, they would face it not as shadows, but as warriors willing to reclaim the lives they deserved. The journey was just beginning, but they were no longer afraid. They were in it together, prepared to unearth the darkest secrets that bound them, whatever the cost. As they turned, ready to confront the uncertainties, the night thickened around them, a tapestry woven through their memories, fears, and spirit. And in that moment, amidst the shadows, they found the strength to defy the darkness. This was where they would begin anew. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a huge difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear what you think. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the journey together.